In today's video, I'm going to use this simple little pattern to show you 9 points of technique that you really need to be aware of for your left hand. They fall into 3 categories: ones that are easy to see, ones that are a little harder to see, and ones that are very hard to see. I'm going to play this one more time. Now I want you to stop the video and list as many things about my hand positioning and the way my fingers are moving as you can. Pause the video now. See you in a minute. Okay, so let's deal with the points that I feel are the easiest ones to see first. First of all, my fingers are curved. They're not flat. They're not like this. And what that allows me to do is to make contact with the strings with the tip of my fingers. Not sure if we can see that. Maybe we can zoom in. You can see that mark in relationship to my fingernail where the string actually meets the fingertip. So that's the first point. Fingers are curved. The second point is that as my fingers move, they only move one at a time. They move independently. So one finger moving does not cause another finger to drastically change its motion. Okay, independence of motion. That doesn't, by the way, mean that you have to keep full pressure down on the string with every finger as you go, although you can. But you can relax the pressure on one finger as you go to the next as a possibility, but that won't cause a great deal of motion in that finger. So independence of motion is our second point. The last thing is the angle of my thumb, which in my case is somewhere between about 75 and 90 degrees in relationship to the back of the neck. It can be 45 degrees even, depends on the size of your hand, the shape of your hand. But mine is roughly like this. One of the most important things is that the thumb is flat most of the time and as relaxed as possible. So those are the 3 points that I think are easy to see: curved fingers, independence of motion, relaxed thumb angle on the back of the neck. There is one point of these 9 that I feel kind of falls in the middle between easy to see and hard to see. And that is the way in which my fingers are spaced out, the way they're spread out. Now, if my fingers were flat, like I mentioned in the earlier section, they would be so far apart naturally without me having to strain to spread them out. As I point my knuckles here towards the headstock and allow the side of my index finger to come to rest up against the bottom of the neck, my fingers naturally spread out further without me having to make any muscular effort to do so. So as opposed to this, when your hand rotates this way, we get what I call the violin finger spread, because this is really where I got this from, is watching violinists and other classical string players who have a few hundred years on us technique-wise. And this is the way that they spread their fingers out. And it works very well. It makes it much easier to reach all the way from one fret to the next, especially if you have particularly small hands. I don't have very large hands. Some people who have really, really big hands you'll see play with flatter fingers. It's probably because they can reach things a lot easier and they don't have to strain to do so. But if your hand's small at all, or if you're having trouble with stretches, try this, spreading your fingers out as a violinist would. Okay, let's move on to those things about fretting hand technique which may be a little harder to see or are somewhat hidden based on the fact that they're not all strictly visual. The first point is that In order for your left hand to work well, your left shoulder needs to be very relaxed. Any tension or holding it up can really cause difficulty. And here's one of the points. If your left shoulder is relaxed and your fingers are curved, like we said before, and your thumb relaxed, it's almost like the weight of gravity is what's holding the string down, as opposed to any clenching of your hand muscles. As a matter of fact, if you're doing this correctly, you should be able to have your thumb completely off of the back of the neck and still have your fingers function perfectly well. So relaxed shoulder. Relaxing both shoulders is good. The next point, which is a little bit more difficult to see, is the exact relationship of the fingertips to the frets. Now you want your fingertips to be right up as close to the fret as they possibly can get, so that you can feel the side of the fret wire on the side of your fingertip. That's where you're going to get the clearest sound with the least effort. Now don't mistake that for being on top of the fret wire, which will make that sound. So it's just behind the fret wire, but in contact with it so that you can feel that fret wire. There are countless benefits to practicing with this kind of accuracy. I won't get into those now. That might be a whole other video. The next thing, which may not be so easy to see from that angle, is the angle of my wrist. Generally speaking, no matter what I'm fretting, and I'll turn a little bit here, my fret angle, or sorry, not my fret angle, my wrist angle will stay as flat as possible. So even when doing bar chords, we don't have to exaggerate this bend in the wrist. We can keep the wrist fairly flat. And since the tendons run over that wrist, the less bent it is, the less stress there is on them. So that's a really good thing to remember. Another point, which you may or may not have noticed, is the relationship of the palm of my hand to the bottom of the neck. Now, I said when we were talking about the violin spacing to bring the side of your index finger up against the bottom of the neck. If you're playing down on the lower strings, in order to maintain this kind of angle and wrist angle, you may have to bring your entire palm up so that the edge of the bottom of the neck is sitting right in your palm. People have a tendency to want to keep their hand away from the guitar like this, which can sometimes keep that from happening. And so there are 9 things that if you're aware of them and practice with an attentiveness to maintaining those points, you'll be very likely to create very good left-hand technique. Now, of course, none of this will work well if you're tense. So if you're having trouble relaxing, check out this video that I made on 3 things that can really help you learn to relax while playing the guitar. Like and comment if you feel so inclined, and we'll see you next time. Take care.